We're going to have Carly talk about our Chapter of Distinction and Chapter of the Year award. This is something that we started last year. Well, we've always had the Chapter of the Year award, but we've had a Chapter of Distinction is kind of like a thermometer of how well your chapter is, and getting your chapter in line with where it should be. It's the healthiness of your chapter. So I'm going to let Carly do it because last year Carly's chapter did a Chapter of Distinction, and did y'all get gold?
Yes, we got gold.
They got gold, and then they got Chapter of the Year. So she's going to show you some things and walk you through it because she's the expert on this. And take it away, Carly.
Okay, thank you. And this, for those of you guys that were at NMACD, was it NMACD? Yes, up in Albuquerque. I presented this to all the CTSO advisors, but I don't believe it was a recorded session. So this could be new for people that were not there. And I know it was, I did send this to on the resources, on that resources page for that NMACD conference. But if you don't have it, now you're going to have it, because Donna will send it in a s'more, and it's in the chat actually for those of you that are here live. So yes, Chapter of Distinction and Chapter of the Year. When I first looked at it last year, I was a little overwhelmed by the rubric, but just like we teach our students and our chapter members to look at the rubric, look at the scoring, and go for the gold, right? I mean, that's the main thing, is just reading what the expectations are for each piece and trying to fulfill that the best you can. And so that's what you got to do if you want to. And let me also say this, it's actually a really rewarding experience putting this together, because it really, it makes you examine and analyze where your chapter is currently at. And if you're new, whether you're established for a couple of years, it helps you put a lot of organization into place. And so, and then that's a great place to build from. Once you've done it once, it's going to be easier in the years to follow that. So that's what I suggest you all go for it and do the pieces that you can. And it's all going to be beneficial in the long run, because you're going to be putting together some really great pieces for your chapter, and get your officers involved, is of course in doing it, and your chapter members. So anyways, oh, this was a little thing about who I am, which I think most of you here know who I am. So I'm just going to skip that. This was for when I was talking with the other CTSO advisors that weren't FCCLA. So our objectives are to obviously explain the purpose of the Chapter of Distinction and the Chapter of the Year expectations and applications, and then provide examples. So I actually made you guys like a Google link that's in this presentation that I just put in the chat, and it'll be in the s'more. They're linked, you'll see them, they'll come up in a few slides that you can click on, and it's already a template just for you. It's just a skeleton so that you can already have that to be, you know, starting your Chapter of Distinction and Chapter of the Year application. So I'll provide you guys some examples. And then of course, it's just, the whole goal is to help you guys get started with building these documents. So a lot of the resources that I pulled from this were from the NMCTLP website. There's a great explanation video that Donna, and I cannot remember the other lady's name, I think she's from HOSA. You did a video with her about it. It was, yeah,
Debbie Klein.
Is she HOSA?
No, she's DECA.
Oh, DECA. Okay, so the two of them put together in a phenomenal video that explains it. So I have that linked in here, because you might want to go check that out, because it's a really good way to explain what the Chapter of Distinction application looks like, what are the qualifications, in addition to what I'm going to tell you tonight. And then application and rubric. This is the link to the Chapter of Distinction and Chapter of the Year application. So you can look at that too and pull it up. And let's see, let's click on it and see. Hopefully is it still sharing the same thing? Or yes, do you guys see the Chapter of Distinction? So you see it?
We see the Chapter of Distinction, yes.
Okay, so this takes you right to the purpose, the objectives, achievement levels, recognition, and then here's the piece of the rubric. So if you want to go for the gold, if you see in these columns right here, you want to have all these things in place. You'll notice that bronze has X's in certain things, but not in all of them. And then silver has X's in these, but not in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. And then gold has all of them. So you're going to want to have these all established if you're going for the gold. Okay. And don't be discouraged if you don't have this whole gold list. You got to start somewhere. So if you just want to focus on bronze and earning the bronze distinction, that's absolutely fine. Do what you can do, and try to strive for whatever you have the means to do. But it's good to look at this because you're like, well, chapter advisor attends and participates in fall rallies. Did I attend the fall rally? Or, should we attend the fall rally? Maybe you've been on the fence about that. Well, if you want to go for the gold, you need to attend the fall rally. Getting your alumni involved. Maybe you haven't had a lot of alumni involved in the past and you want to get them involved. Well, sure enough, that's a gold distinction. And how can you show evidence of that too? So all of this is very descriptive. It's pretty easy to follow. It's very straightforward, like you either do it or you don't. And so look at those levels and decide what you want to strive for. And then there's some governance standards. There's different standards. This one was organization standards, governance standards, and you can see all where the X's all line up. And then let's see, then the fiscal standards, so your finances. I think this is where we really fine-tuned and cleaned this up last year, even virtually. This piece we were needing to beef up and do a little bit better on. And so I love how this kind of not forces you to do it, but it just makes you get organized, and then you have that in the future, and it just makes your chapter more organized and healthier in a way. So those are the fiscal standards. You can see what they all have. And let's see. So those are the point breakdown. So that is the gold distinction, silver, and bronze. And then here's the chapter of distinction application. So it's whether you have yes, this is just like a checklist that you can look at. Do I have bylaws? Yes, no, in process, NA. And then you have to have documentation. That's the thing too. You have to document all of these things. And I'll show you how we did ours. And then in the template that I made you guys is a Google link that you'll have on your own. It's already all the sections, like what's on the left in here and the organizational standards. Those titles are already in there for you. So all you have to do is go put in your information where it goes. Okay. So there's the bronze level, silver level, and gold level. And as you keep on scrolling, it comes to the silver. Let's see where else. Oh, okay. Then at the very end, this is the second piece. So chapter of distinction is where you are either bronze, silver, or gold. That's a whole separate application. So when we submitted ours, and it wasn't submitted virtually, we printed the whole document. I think each one, our chapter of distinction was like at least 60 pages, and our chapter of the year was at least 60 pages too. And so we printed them out, we put them in plastic sheets, and we put them in a red binder, and we had a cover page and all of that, just like, and then we mailed them. We submitted them to the national office. So that's what you'll do. So once you get it all together and you edit it all, you have two separate. So it's not all just in one binder. There's actually two that you're going to need. And so we kept ours completely separate, and I'll give you the two separate links, even though some of the things actually do overlap. Okay. You look cute. Sorry, my daughter playing dress up. Okay, sorry, side note. Then you can see chapter of the year and the directions on how to complete it. And then of course there's sections for this one too. Membership, how large your membership is. And these are these points. Again, just like a rubric you give your students for STAR events, you want to look and see what the highest expectation is and see where you fit, and try to go for the highest points possible, because that's what we'd want to do if we were competing in a STAR event, right? So alumni members, professional members, percentage of chapter growth, and then you can see this just has the rest of the components. So leadership development. A lot of these too, if you prepare your chapter bylaws, if you work with your officers and your membership and create bylaws, a lot of the bylaws, in doing that, you will also fulfill several of the components for the rest of the application, because there were a lot of times where I just referenced our bylaws and literally copied and pasted the chunk from our bylaws to show the evidence of this is what we do. And so if you really can get the bylaws piece done, that will help you with several other pieces that you'll literally be able to reference and copy and paste for a lot of the sections. A program of work, you can see this right here, really important is developing that program of work, which is basically the calendar of what are all your events, your community service projects, what are the things your chapter is working on throughout the year, and you have them broken down by month. Those of you that are doing the leadership, the Advisor Academy, I know for level 2, we had to provide our program of work, and I'm assuming in level 1, they probably do the same thing because that's a really valuable tool. So preparing a budget, that's a good one too. Electing chapter officers. So you can see if we elected officers, we get 5 points. And that's one thing we did too, is I printed this out and we sat down, not sat down because we were virtual, but we sat in a Zoom room with our officers and we went through this one by one and we kind of divvied up who was going to provide what. So like our VP of Finance, who was our treasurer, she had been documenting a lot of things throughout the year that we needed for the financial part. And so that was helpful because she was able to input all of that information. And so we made it a shareable document between the officers since we were all contributing to it. And then of course, Thayek, our chapter president, had a lot of things related to our chapter meetings and membership and things like that. So they all had a piece in this too. And that's one thing, don't take this all on yourself. Have your students get involved in putting the pieces together. Of course, you as the advisor are going to want to do some editing and making sure it's all done correctly and spelled correctly and all of that. So delegate, but also keep it where you're submitting something professional at the same time. Okay. So then there's 2 other components, civic consciousness and vocational understanding. And I think that's the end. Oh no, there's more. Social intelligence, chapter campaigns, any campaigns you ran throughout the year on membership. I know, Brianna, you did a pizza thing. I think you fed like those, that, if you have a picture of that or some type of evidence of that, or the flyer that you sent out for that, that can count for this membership campaign. Go for the red. You can apply a lot of the things that you guys have already done to this. And then I would look at it now though, because if there are some pieces, you don't want to be that week of being like, oh my gosh, I have to go gather all this stuff. Try to do it in chunks and look ahead, start with the end in mind. Professional development of advisor. Obviously, those of you that get to go to Advisor Academy, you'll get those 10 points. If you attended the fall leadership rally, have evidence of that, that's 10 points. We saved a lot of our invoices. Any invoice you got from like your leadership rally, any emails that confirmed your attendance sheets, take screenshots, pictures of things, take screenshots of them electronically so that we use a lot of graphics because we saved a lot of our receipts. And if it was in an email with an invoice, we copied the image and put it into our evidence for things. Let's see. Chapter social media presence, you want to, or if you don't have one, have your officers create an Instagram. We have an Instagram, we don't have a Facebook, so we didn't get points for Facebook. We also don't have a Twitter, but we do have a Snappy Chatty. We have a Snapchat. So we have Instagram, and then, so we didn't earn points for Facebook, Twitter, but we did the web page. We counted our Canvas as basically a web page because that was a platform that all our kids had access to, and we had a Centennial FCCLA Canvas page. Chapter national competition. So competed at the previous NLC. So we did go to nationals the prior year. So we had our registration and we had their projects and pictures from that kind of stuff that we had as evidence. Members who received gold at NLC. I mean, you can just see, look through it. And if you don't have it, then those are things and goals you need to strive for. So yeah, that's that application that I just gave you the link to. So now I'm going to go back to this. Can you guys see? Did I switch back? Okay. All right. I'm going to skip the purpose because I just kind of talked about all of those things and the process. And those things I just copied and pasted from what I just shared with you. The bronze, silver, and gold, I think we already basically covered that difference in the little rubric with the X's. So I'm actually going to skip that part too. Chapter of the year. Any chapter that has completed the chapter of distinction. So this is important. You cannot be chapter of the year without doing the chapter of distinction. So you have to do both. So you need to apply for that chapter of distinction, whether that's going for bronze, silver, or gold. And then you're in the pot, in the pool to be in the running for chapter of the year, which chapter of the year is what is a great accomplishment. And especially your kiddos, because we're compared with student athletes all the time in the sports, and when they take state, you get that banner, and that's why I have it pictured here. That NMAA banner is a big deal to kids. I know personally as an athlete when I was in high school, who took second place twice in the state tournament and never won that banner, it still sits with me today, all these years later, that I did not take state. But that banner is really important, and those kids want that, and they want the medals, and it's a great recognition, and it's a great way for them to show like the rest of their school, like, hey, we took state. And so you definitely want to apply for that. So if you do the chapter of distinction, you want to also go for the chapter of the year award. And I think the way they do it this now is I like that there's a rubric, because in years past there wasn't, I don't believe. I think it was based off membership and maybe your attendance to stuff, and then your overall scores at state is how was my understanding of the past. But this is a lot cleaner, a lot again, I don't want to say more fair, but it just brings equity to it, where everybody has an opportunity. And so it's a cool way that they're doing it in now, as in the past they didn't have this intense rubric. But like I said, completing it will make your chapter better. So utilize the rubric, tips and tricks. Utilize that table of contents. It's your guide, and here are the templates. So what I already made for you are a template, and this is in this PowerPoint slide that we have linked in the chat, and will be in the Smart. This, if you click on this one, show chapter of distinction application, and then chapter of the year. So chapter of distinction, when you click on that, it will prompt you to make yourself a copy, so you won't ruin anybody else's. This is going to be just yours. So what you might want to do, because if you're like me, then you'll have a lot of things saved as copy of. You might want to change this title to like your school. Like I could put Centennial High School, like that. Do you guys see this, by the way? Okay, so I already gave you this little template, because this is basically what we did. So we made it in a Google Doc, and I just put insert your school logo here. So you could go in there and insert a picture of your school logo. And then the name of your school, just put in your, the name of your school would go here. If you have a different chapter name, put it here. Insert your school logo. So you can have that. This is the CTSO logo. So you put your FCCLA, then you put your school logo. Hold on a second. It's in the little gray basket by my nightstand. Okay. It's in there. It's a little white. Sorry. Okay. My husband's not home yet, so the kids are kind of having a free-for-all in the living room. All right. So then there's a table of contents that you would leave this as is, and these are all the sections that you have to have. Okay. So table of contents, you have all your organizational standards, governance standards, fiscal standards. You would leave that completely as is. You could just leave it the way it goes. It's already done for you. And then what I already did too is I pulled these. Basically, what I did was I copied and pasted like each section, so it'd have the section title with the number of that standard, if you will. So chapter bylaws, organizational standards. So what you would do here is once you get your chapter bylaws, I would suggest creating them in a different document, and then you can copy and paste them over. You could build them right here if you wanted, but I would just, what we did is we built ours in a completely different, we updated ours in a different document, and then we just copied and pasted them over. So this is where you would have that, and you'd have your chapter bylaws, okay? And then after your chapter bylaws would be over, so let's pretend that I already did that, and we just keep going down, then this is the next title of my next page or my next section, analysis of membership data. Then you have your chapter officer elections, how you ran elections. That is in the bylaws. Part of your bylaws should say how you run your elections. And so you can copy and paste that. That's what we did is there's a whole section of our bylaws that has that. To create your bylaws, let's talk about that, because that's the first step in all of this, in my opinion. And what we did collectively is we kind of looked at other advisors, or we just typed in FCCLA chapter bylaws in Google, and you could see a bunch of different states, different schools, anybody that had it accessible where you could go and look at it online we just kind of picked and choose, kind of analyzed what we liked from certain ones, and then made sure we had certain things, also looking at kind of our state policies and procedures, that one, and then also the national bylaws. So just kind of compiling all of what they had and then creating your own. And so, yeah, that's what we did. You can look at where I think I found one from, I don't know if it was Minnesota, I don't know what state, but there were some that were really, really good, and that we just kind of didn't copy and paste, but we use them as a guide of like, okay, these are the sections, this is the order that they had it in, this is the way they worded it. Oh, and you know what else I did, which was cool, is we created an assignment, because I had an FCCLA class at the time, but you could do this with your officers and your members. I created, of course, we were virtual, but we took once we got kind of the template or the structure of our bylaws, but not all the wording correct, we made this little chart where we had the section or the title and the topic of what that bylaw was. And then there was student input, and they had to type in input for every single one, like what they thought about this rule or what they think should be taking place, what they think, just to get their feedback. It's student run, right? So you want to get their opinions and their involvement in that. So as you can see, basically it's just already done for you, so that you know exactly what sections you need to have. Like here, okay, if I go and I have my alumni come and visit, like say I had Elijah do a Zoom he lives in California now, but I wanted him to come and do a workshop or come talk to at our chapter meeting. Well, even on the Zoom, I'm going to be there taking a picture of him on the screen, presenting to the meeting. And then guess what? Those pictures are going to go in here for wherever you need to have the evidence of alumni, okay? And associates and who you're associating with. Let's see. We did have an alumni come in person this year, actually, Jordan, to share with some community service ideas that she needed help with for her college stuff. So anywho, you can just see, I don't have to keep talking about each one, because I think you guys can look at them. And if you do need help with any of them specifically, you guys could email me and say, Carly, what did you guys do for this one? I don't really understand it. And I'd be happy to, I'm not sharing ours with everyone, but I'm sharing the templates with you. But I can certainly give you guys some advice, and I'm sure Donna can too. Policies and procedures for handling fees, that again is in your bylaws. So you'll see a lot of these things. Once you do your bylaws, they can fit, okay? That's that one. Then the exact same, this one, very similar. You're gonna have the table of contents. Let's see, it's opening up, sorry. It's taking a second. Okay, so same thing. You'll insert your CTSO logo, you'll insert your school logo, put your name information. Then you should have a table of contents that appears. It's already done for you. And then of course you have the section. So this is where you want to show your affiliation. When we finally are affiliated and approved, and we get like an invoice, or actually this year it might look a little different since we did it as a district, depending on how your school affiliated. But you're going to want that documentation to show your affiliation. Student members, this is those of you that affiliated using the packages and did those big CSV reports that were pulled with all your rosters. We just took screenshots of those and put them in there for us. Alumni members, again, showcasing what we had our alumni do and listing them. And then professional members. Oh, let me also say that if you don't have, like I know some schools are brand new chapters, so you don't have alumni, probably. What we did is I found this cute graphic that just said work in progress, something to look forward to for next year. And I just put that in the sections that we didn't have something for. It was just this cute graphic that said work in progress, gonna work towards that for next year. And that's all we did for those items. Let's see. Chapter affiliate, 100% of students enrolled in CTE. You can just see it's all right here. Insert your program of work, copy and paste that over, your budget, how you elected officers, evidence of how you elected officers. If you have pictures of them, pictures are going to be your best friend. Pictures and screenshots for this is going to be really helpful. Evidence, document, evidence, document. Okay, so that's that one. And let me go ahead and go back to, I think this is towards the end of it. So go for the gold, start with the end in mind. This is the last part of tips and tricks. So like I said earlier, get officers and members involved, create and utilize your program of work. Establish and utilize chapter bylaws. Those are key because you will use them multiple times throughout it. Keep records of your keep records of your meeting agendas, minutes, and sign-in sheets. I suggest, this is a new tip, this is what we're doing this year with all our officers. We created a shared drive for all of our officers to have access to. And then in that Centennial FCCLA drive, we have folders for everything. We have attendance, our early bird cafe. We have one for chapter of distinction, chapter of the year. We have one with meeting agendas and all of those. So all our officers have access to all of them. So our secretary, Adon is his name, he can just go right in to where the minutes are on his computer, and then also the attendance. We have them sign in person, just on by hand, but he takes that list and he goes and types all their names in it. And so, have that all documented and utilize a Google Drive share, because that's been really helpful too. All our officers have access to the meeting agenda slides, and they're all saved and in there, because you will find that you're like, when you're documenting what community service events you did, like just recently we did the Veterans Parade. Well, for that community service section where I'm highlighting all of our community service projects, or our community service, our VP of community service is putting that in there this year for the chapter of distinction. She can go to those meetings, pull the pictures and save those slides where we talked about it, and use that as our evidence for our chapter of distinction. So save all of that. Photographs, screenshots, snipping tool is a really good one. It's basically screenshotting, but you don't have to have all the extra whatever's on the outside of your screen. You can literally just use your cursor to make a square of exactly what you want, and you can save it. And then save all invoices, document all components throughout the year. So that is that. I don't know if any of you guys have questions. Sorry, it's a lot to go over, but you have access to this slide, so you can go look at the templates. And like I said, you can also email me if you get stuck on something. I can help you with basically what we did. So I can help you with that too. I can show you our Google Share Drive if you guys want to see that. I don't know if that would be valuable or not. Do you guys want to see the Google
one for
Share?
your chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you what we created. So we have this drive. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we just created a shared drive. It's Centennial FCCLA. And this is what we have in it. So we have attendance forms, chapter of distinction, all our meeting minutes, Canvas FCCLA. So anything that's related to our Canvas, chapter of the year, program of work. So if you click on program of work, you'll see our current program of work. Here's an example of what our program of work looks like. This is ours for this year, 2021, 2022. We just have basically outlined what we do for each month. So like right now, we're November. We put all our events, we put the dates of all our meetings, the dates of all our officer meetings. We put the dates of any events we have going on. Like you can see our community service. We're doing the non-perishable items and children's book collection. We did the Veterans Parade on November 6th. And tomorrow night, we're helping the Centennial High School Band prepare, set up, and serve their enchilada dinner and setting up their craft fair. And we're not getting paid to do that in any way. We're just donating our services and time. We'll be there from 3:30 p.m. after school till 9:30 p.m. just helping them, because they use our facility. The band moms actually are making all the food, and we're gonna help with the garnish and the lettuce and tomato and stuff, and do some knife skill work for them. But we set up a dining space in the gym. And we also, or not in the gym, but in like the dance room, we set up the tables and with our banquet set up, linens and all that. So that's something we're doing tomorrow night. So anything you're doing for your school or for your community, put it on here. Plan community service for December. Advisors attend FCCLA Q&A, put that on there. Present star events to new members. And so any of the things that you've outlined that you need to take care of that month. So, and like I said, it goes all the way through to July. So you start from August to July. So that's program of work. Let's see what else is in those folders. Let's go back, Centennial FCCLA. So what other ones? We have program of work, We have our chapter meeting Google Slides. I'll show you this one. So we have one for every meeting that we've done, and our officers have access to it so that they can all go in and fix their slides. If we need a reference back to what we did in our meeting, they can go and click on it and we can use it. So documenting and keeping them all is highly advised because you will need to use them. So for example, let me show you what we do for community service. Like I was telling you, the Veterans Parade, we could put that already as evidence in the chapter of distinction, chapter of the year, community service part. It's kind of slow. I think you guys know how to file. You hit file and you save it as a JPEG. I'll hit wait. Okay, so you can see our creed. Oh, another good thing, this is just a tip for funsies. We have each slide that whatever officer is in charge of each slide, they put their name at the top. So like our president is in charge of going over the agenda. So it's a good little trick so they know. And it also works because then I'm saying you're in charge of those slides, whichever ones you're in charge of, you have to go make sure they're ready for the next chapter meeting and their name's on it and they're presenting it so that they're ready. So for example, our Veterans Parade information, we could easily use this as evidence. So we could go to file, and we could go to download it as a JPEG, and it saves it as an image in your downloads. And then you can go and now use that and put it in your chapter of distinction. So using your agendas on Google Slides is really helpful, just in my opinion. So there's that. Trying to think what else is in here that might be helpful. Sorry, my son has entered the room. Okay. Sonny, hold on. And then we also, executive council, that's where we have our stuff for any of our officer applications. Oh, these are our officer duties, kind of an outline of what our officers do and so forth. But yeah, if you guys want any information on any of this, I can send you, just let me know. And I really suggest having a shared drive with all of your officers, because it's just really nice and easy. As something's created, you can go and just save it and shortcut it to the drive and it's there for you. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Do you guys have questions?
I just want to say, if you're looking for templates for the bylaws, we have those on the website under general resources, not under our FCCLA page, but under the resources main page. It's for all our CTSOs. So you can look at those. If you need some help with that, Gail and I would be glad to help you with that. Or you can reach out to veteran advisors like Carly and other people that have done it. There's several across the state that have already done this. So, reach out to them. It's perfectly fine. Just if you need help or whatever.
Sorry. Do you want me to show ours just for like a glimpse of it?
Sure.
Okay, if you guys want to see it, because I know I showed you the templates, but if you want to see like what it might look like, I can do that. Okay, let me.
I've sent out mine that I had at my other schools too. So there's not a specific thing. There's just certain things, and you can find the nationals on the national website, and you kind of want to be in line with them as well. So you don't want to do something outside of something different from them. As far as the general rules, you don't have to do specifics, but.
Who has questions about me?
Sorry.
Oh, you're precious. You are precious, sweetheart.
Goo. Okay, so this is our chapter of distinction, I believe.
I'm also stubborn.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so there's our FCCLA logo. You can see where I just said, put your logos and your school name. And then that is all the same table of contents. Hopefully I'm not making you dizzy. And then you can see chapter bylaws. Here's our bylaws. That's the beginning page of our bylaws, which looks also clean like the front of this thing. And then here's our bylaws. So we have Article 1, name, logo, brand. The bylaws go on for a while. Look, see, this is 63 pages. So I'm going to just.
But that first part,
oh yeah,
you can copy straight off the national one. That's why I'm saying go to the national and get theirs. because that's literally when I started the chapter of the school that didn't have a chapter before. That's literally what I did is I went to the national, I got nationals, and I copied it off that way, because that way you don't have to reword it. It's easy, and they have a PDF that you can copy and paste.
Okay, sorry.
And Carly,
Sorry.
I just shared this into our chapter resource drive, the
Oh, great.
one.
That's
And I don't know, Ellie and Brianna, y'all are both, do y'all have access to that resource drive from the advisors? The state resource drive?
Last time I checked, I think they didn't have the same resources that were on there before November 1st, but I can check again.
Oh, no, it's a shared drive. It's a different drive. Watch, I'll show you.
Oh.
I'll add you. If you're not in it, I'll add you.
Yeah,
This,
I was going, we can add you tonight if you're not on it. There's only 10 people on it
I'm
right
pretty
now.
sure I'm not.
Who has questions about my mommy?
they don't have quite. Oh yeah, let's add you guys right now. B Madrid.
Be Madrid.
Aren't you?
It's one, yeah, B Madrid 1 at LC. Yes,
Amy. Amy.
Oh, Ellie's on it.
Ellie.
Isn't it? Is it that one? Would it be that?
Eleanor McAlpine.
Yeah.
It's your APS email. Is that the one you want, Ellie?
Who's Ellie?
That's Ellie right there.
Yes, and I do see it now. I didn't realize I was on it, but I am.
So if you go to shared drives, when you son, if you go to your shared drives, yeah, it should show up like this: New Mexico FCCLA Advisor Resources. And then what's in that already? We have a couple folders on Power of One. There's
We're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're adding more to it.
So if you want to add to it, you can do the same. If you got stuff that you want to add, then create a folder and do it. I mean, this is for us to share our resources that among us. So that's something I just can't put it on the s'more. It's got to be an invite. So I put it in there that to email, but I don't know if everyone's done it. So we put it on this. So I want to make sure we covered that tonight.
Yeah, and I'll show you how to add something too real quick, because I'm going to add this one, our executive council duties, but let me put Centennial, just so people know it's like, do you want us to put if it's our school? Because I mean, it says Centennial too. Okay, so file, then you go to add shortcut to drive, and then you go to add another shortcut. Okay, so shared drives. And then I'm going to go to New Mexico FCCLA resources, and I'm just going to add it. I don't know what folder. We don't have a folder for this kind of thing yet, but I'm just going to add it.
Okay.
And now that should be showing up in there here in a moment. Okay. And then this,
May have
going
to
back to this,
may have to refresh it.
check on your sister. Go check on your sister really quick and come right back. Will you go take the bat to the Halloween bin, please? Hurry, hurry, go, go, go. Go, go, go. Okay, sorry. All right. This is an example of our VP of Finance last year. She had this data because she was like the data chart queen, which obviously was very fitting for her. So she did this. She took our membership report and actually made these charts out of it. So that's kind of cool. And so again, and here's our CSB report, basically little pictures of our evidence of our roster since we affiliated everybody last year. And then, here's an example of how I just referenced our bylaws. So like chapter officer elections, I literally copied it right from our bylaws and just said from our chapter bylaws, and it was just copied and pasted. And then chapter executive council, I had our pictures of what we had created last year. And then Thayek had made these adorable, which I can share these in the shared drive too. These officer duties. Whoever's gonna watch the recording is gonna be like, oh my gosh, that child. Okay, but you guys get the idea. You can see we use a lot of our images, lots of our images from things to use as evidence. Just kind of showing you. Here's a list of all our chapter meeting agendas. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, you can say that we are FCCLA, we are family. Family is the most important thing. And so therefore you see Carly's son right there. This is what happens when the husband is not there to take care of the kids during our meeting. And it's perfectly fine. So, okay, any other questions?
No, that was really helpful. Thank you.
I mean, Carly did an excellent job of that. So now that you've got the templates and stuff, so everyone can apply for a chapter of distinction. And just because don't think that you can't go for chapter of the year, because that could happen too. So even if you're not a gold, so make sure that you apply for chapter of the year too if you apply for chapter of distinction. So and get your kids all fired up, because having that banner is really a cool thing. I mean, I wish we had that in Texas. We don't have that in Texas. So that's really cool. So there's some other states that do the same thing, but it's really a nice thing that they honor you and give you a banner that you can hang up in the school and stuff. So